There's nothing quite like the adrenaline rush of a good horror game. The slow creak of a door, the whispering shadows, and that awful realization that you're not alone. Today, we're diving into 15 horror masterpieces that every gamer absolutely must play. So, let's get into it.
You stupid bitch.
Hate me all you want. He's dead because of you.
You should be the one here. Lifeless. Worthless.
Silent Hill 2 Remake is what happens when someone takes your emotional trauma, dips it in fog, adds a soundtrack made by a haunted dishwasher, and then slaps you in the soul. It's gorgeous in the worst possible way, like if your nightmares got ray tracing. I walked into this thinking I'd face some monsters and explore a creepy town, but by hour 2 I was questioning my morality, emotional stability, and whether or not I had actually turned off the oven before leaving. The fog feels like it's judging you. The town is constantly whispering things like, "Hey, remember that embarrassing thing you did in 8th grade?" And Pyramid Head? Yeah, he's not just a monster, he's a giant metaphor for regret and possibly leg day gone too far. Every time he showed up, I screamed and tried to assert dominance by unplugging my controller. Didn't work. I think this remake might be the most beautiful, gut-wrenching existential horror therapy session I've ever played. And I paid money for it, which is honestly just rude. Outlast 2 is the video game equivalent of running through a cornfield with your shoelaces tied together while a man named Ezekiel screams scripture at you with a knife in his hand. This game does not care about your well-being. There are no weapons, no safe zones, and certainly no logic. One moment, I'm in a barn being chased by a 7-foot-tall grandma with a scythe, and the next I'm in a flashback Catholic school hallway covered in blood and shame. And the camcorder mechanic? I've never hated batteries more in my life. I once died because I used night vision too much trying to see a cow. A cow. The developers clearly sat in a room and asked, what if we made trauma interactive? It's effective though. I couldn't sleep after playing this. I just sat in my bed fully clothed, listening for windmill noises and regretting every life decision that led to me downloading it.
Who are you?
My name's Blake.
The outsider? The father?
I'm not anybody's father. I just...
Kill me! You have to kill me! Noth is coming back. With Mary. He'll hurt her and I'll talk.
Until Dawn Remake is the horror movie experience I never knew I wanted until I realized I was in charge, and immediately made everything worse. It's a gorgeous slasher film simulator, where every character looks like they're about to get cast in a shampoo commercial and scream for their lives. And oh, scream they do, especially when I misclicked and sent someone flying off a cliff. I genuinely tried to keep everyone alive, but turns out my reaction time is roughly the same as a traffic cone. The remake looks amazing, but all that realism just made my decisions more stressful. There's this moment where I panicked and chose to hide instead of run. And well, turns out Wendigos are great at hide and seek. Every scene feels like I'm one bad QTE away from getting roasted like a marshmallow. I came for the story and stayed because I was too emotionally invested in saving people I accidentally got killed. Sorry, Josh. That was mostly my fault.
That's it. Come on, let's go.
Alien Isolation is a horror game where your main opponent has more personality than your friends and more persistence than your ex. The xenomorph isn't scripted. It's smart. It learns, and it hates you personally. I swear, it once stared directly at the locker I was hiding in and whispered, "I can smell your fear, Tim." My name's not even Tim. This game taught me how to hold my breath both in-game and in real life. The tension is so thick, you could butter toast with it. You don't fight the alien, you beg it to find someone else to bother while you slowly cry under a desk. And it never does. It always comes back. I once tried to throw a noisemaker to distract it, but I panicked and hit a wall instead, so the alien just turned around like, really? It's the most immersive stress simulator I've ever played. If you want to see how loud your real-life scream is, play this with headphones in 2 a.m. Still Wakes the Deep is like getting trapped in a haunted Scottish oil rig with the worst plumbing imaginable and the world's creepiest HR department. Everything's wet, everything's dark, and everyone's either screaming or melting. There's no combat, which is fine, because even if I had a weapon, I'd probably throw it out of fear and then run directly into a locked door. The atmosphere is so dense, I felt like my lungs were wet. At one point, I got so paranoid I jumped at a door that opened normally. Not even a scare, just a functioning door. But my brain said, it's death! The monster design is like if someone microwaved anxiety and gave it legs. You just try to escape, survive, and maybe not have a full-blown existential crisis. It's terrifying in that subtle, dreadful, slow, creeping way that makes you question why you ever trusted anything that makes noise in the dark. Amnesia the Bunker is like getting stuck in a World War I panic attack simulator with a grenade, a flashlight powered by pure fear, and something in the walls that wants to use your skeleton as a back scratcher. You're in a bunker, it's pitch black, and you're being hunted by a monster that treats loud noises like dinner bells. The scariest part? The flashlight. It's this wind-up monstrosity that sounds like you're revving a lawnmower every time you want to see. So you're sitting there trying to be stealthy, and suddenly, the creature is now sprinting at you like it just smelled barbecue. The freedom to approach problems your way is cool in theory, but in my case it meant I blew myself up 3 times and died in a storage closet. It's gritty, grim, and deeply unsettling. If you've ever wanted to test how loud your screams echo at 3 a.m., this is the game. The Mortuary Assistant is the only game where I've yelled nope and Alt F4'd so fast I almost broke my keyboard. You play as someone embalming corpses in the dead of night, which sounds like a chill little job until the corpses start talking, standing up, and occasionally moonwalking backwards into hell. There's one moment where I looked away from the screen for a second, looked back, and there was a face just smiling. I nearly passed away on the spot. You have to figure out which body is possessed by a demon, but the game changes each time. So guess who spent 3 hours embalming the wrong corpse while Satan laughed in the corner? This game isn't just horror, it's an anxiety showcase, hosted by Beelzebub and co-produced by your worst fears. I learned nothing about mortuaries, but everything about how fast I can close a fridge door if I think a ghost's watching.
Rebecca. Rebecca.
The Evil Within games are what happen when someone blends Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and a Salvador Dali painting, then sprinkles it with frustration and rage. The first game is brutal. You have limited ammo, nightmare monsters, and a storyline that makes you feel like you accidentally opened a philosophy textbook during an acid trip. I loved it. I hated it. I screamed at it. And then I played the sequel, which was somehow even better. Open areas, new scares, and still no emotional support dog. There's a boss in the first game that's basically a haunted chainsaw man with commitment issues, and I fought him using every item I had plus my last nerve. Both games make you feel constantly in danger, never in control, and extremely in need of therapy. I still flinch whenever I hear a safe open because of that one boss who wears one as a head. Why? Who knows? Ask Shinji Mikami and a therapist.
What the hell?
Blair Witch is 90% walking through a forest and 10% slowly realizing that you're not alone and probably going to die wearing a hoodie. It's based on the movie but plays like a psychological spiral wrapped in trees. You've got a dog named Bullet who is the real MVP. I don't care what anyone says. If anything happens to Bullet, I uninstall. The game plays with your mind. Weird time loops, voices whispering, trees rearranging like IKEA demons, and a camcorder that sees things your eyes can't. I got lost 5 times. Not because of the map, there is none, but because my brain refused to process direction while panicking. There's one moment where I walked in a circle for 30 minutes because I thought I saw a ghost. It was a bush. Blair Witch is not about jump scares. It's about that slow burn terror where you wonder if you're being hunted or if you're hunting yourself. Inside is like a minimalist fever dream where you die a lot and question the meaning of art. There are no words, no UI, just a tiny boy in a red shirt running through a world that clearly failed every safety inspection known to man. The game opens with a forest chase and I thought, cool, maybe it's like Limbo but less stressful. Wrong, it's like Limbo with a master's degree in psychological warfare. At one point I got tranquilized, drowned, electrocuted, and mind-controlled by a helmet all in the same 5-minute stretch. There's this part with water zombies, and I swear I paused the game just to apologize to my heartbeat. And the ending? I won't spoil it, but let's just say I sat in stunned silence for 20 minutes questioning my life, humanity, and whether the giant flesh blob was symbolic or just an unfortunate meat accident. 10 out of 10 experience, 0 out of 10 understanding of what just happened. Resident Evil 7 is the game where Capcom went, hey, let's ditch the action hero nonsense and lock you in a disgusting swamp house with a family that looks like they cook meth with love. I've never felt more unsafe in a video game. The Baker family is like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre met Southern hospitality and decided to chase you with a shovel. I walked into this game thinking I'd be blasting zombies, but instead I spent the first hour running away from an old man who can break through walls like a Kool-Aid man from hell. And that first-person camera? Yeah, let's just say I discovered a whole new set of fears I didn't know I had, mostly involving mold. The scariest part wasn't even the monsters, it was hearing footsteps when there should be none, turning around and realizing the fridge door was open again. I didn't open it, that was Margaret! She wants you to eat bugs. The Quarry is what you get when you throw a bunch of Hollywood actors into a blender with Goosebumps, camp counselors, and a werewolf problem. It's kind of like Until Dawn's younger, slightly more chaotic cousin who wears crop tops and makes poor decisions. Every choice you make affects who lives, who dies, and who ends up emotionally scarred but alive enough for a sequel. The characters are great in a I love you but you're definitely going to die kind of way. I tried to play smart, picked all the safe options, avoided shady pargs, but still managed to get someone eaten because I blinked during a QTE. I once tried to flirt and somehow triggered a bloody massacre, which is honestly the most accurate dating sim I've ever played. Also, the game gives you tarot readings between chapters, which is great if your dream scenario involves being judged by a ghost witch while your friends get dismembered.
Silverback mare.
Bobby! The gun!
Visage is basically PT's angry cousin who grew up in a broken home and wants to ruin your entire evening. It's set in a haunted house, which sounds simple, until you realize the house changes every time you blink, and ghosts have no concept of personal space. This game doesn't jump scare you, it lurks. There's a fear meter that rises when you're in the dark too long, which is adorable because you're always in the dark. The light bulbs break, the lighter runs out, and one time I turned on a lamp and a hand turned it off. I spent an hour hiding in a bathroom with the door shut because I heard a voice that may or may not have been coming from the toilet. I still don't know. One section involves walking backwards down a hallway while a crying woman follows you. It's a horror trustful with Satan himself. I finished the game by accident. I thought I opened a closet. Nope. Final chapter, immediate trauma. Little Nightmares looks like a Tim Burton movie ate too much cheese and fell into a fever dream. You play as a Heiny Raincoat child named Six, running through a world full of monstrous adults who want to hug you to death or possibly eat you. Everything is oversized. Furniture, knives, your anxiety. I'm not even sure what half the creatures are. There's a chef that looks like a wet croissant and a lady with no face who floats like she's got a grudge against gravity. The second game introduces Mono, a kid with a paper bag on his head, because apparently head fashion is survival now. The puzzles are brilliant, but it's the atmosphere that crushes your soul. Everything is so grotesquely designed, it's like playing through your worst childhood dream. The one where your teacher had 12 arms and smelled like regret. It's cute horror with a psychological twist. And I say cute only because the horror is too busy traumatizing you to notice. Fatal Frame is the only horror franchise where your main weapon is a camera and your main emotion is panic. Instead of a shotgun, you wield something called the camera obscura, which sounds fancy until you realize it's basically a haunted Polaroid that only works if you get dangerously close to angry ghosts. It's like paranormal paparazzi, but every photo you take might also steal your soul. I've never felt more vulnerable than backing into a corner, fumbling with film types, and watching a ghost girl float toward me with that "I died in 1823 and now it's your problem" expression. And they always attack after you reload. You finish winding the camera and boom! They're in your face screaming in ancient Japanese. Fatal Frame's slow pace, creepy folklore, and aggressive spirits make it a masterclass in patience-based terror. I once yelled at the screen, "Back off, Casper," only to immediately get jump-scared through a sliding door. And there you have it. 15 horror masterpieces that ruined my sleep schedule, made me question my bravery, and taught me that closets are never safe. Ever. Drop a comment with your favorite horror game or the exact moment you screamed like a microwave popcorn bag exploding. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because nothing says I enjoy suffering like signing up for more terrifying recommendations. See you in the next one, if the ghosts don't get you first.